All right. Last week, I asked you, what defines a Christmas movie? So for you, what defines a Christmas movie? What makes a movie a Christmas movie? You know, we have like plenty of examples of movies that some people may debate as whether or not it's a Christmas movie, like Nightmare Before Christmas. Is that a Christmas movie or is it a Halloween movie? I mean, it is titled Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's set in Halloween Town. So for you, what defines a Christmas movie?
So I think, well, for one, it has to take place around Christmas time. Christmas time. I think that's
the whole thing, or just like a key scene?
I think the whole thing does. For me, it has to take place around Christmas time. And it has to have kind of one of the themes of Christmas in it, really. I mean, it doesn't have to be like outright, like this is the birth of Christ, or whatever this is. But like Home Alone, you look at that and like, what's the main theme around Home Alone? Like the one we did last week, family, right? It's realizing that family is what's important, and then you can be mad at each other or whatever the situation is, but at the end of the day, you're still family and you love each other. Nightmare Before Christmas, it's been a while since I've watched it, but from what I remember, it's, they kind of, well, I'm not going to use that example because now I can't remember half the movie. But
it's the Grinch Tim Burton style, I think.
It is, yeah,
it is.
And with the Grinch, his heart grew, 3 sizes that day or whatever. And
redemptive arc.
You look at Gremlins that we did a couple weeks ago. You've got like with Kate, and she talks about like how she doesn't like Christmas or whatever. But I feel like
we didn't even talk about that.
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about that. Like she doesn't like Christmas because her dad died. Playing Santa,
climbing on a chimney.
Yeah, and but there comes a point there where it doesn't really outright say it on there, but I think that she finds love in Billy, and I think that she starts to kind of see Christmas a little differently, and I don't know. I think that it to me it has to take place around Christmas time, and it has to have some sort of theme of just the goodwill, the cheer, the family aspect, friendliness of Christmas time.
All right.
Even if it's like just friends. Like the movie Just Friends, Yeah.
That's a Christmas movie for sure.
It is, yeah.
I mean, it takes place around Christmas time and it has those redemptive arcs and all that. Yeah. I feel very similar. Like to me, it doesn't, it almost, but still does, almost doesn't even need to take place on Christmas or have, if it takes place at Christmas time, have a whole lot to do with Christmas. Because, like, my family makes fun of me because one of them, I have a top 20 Christmas playlists, and one of the songs that's on my top 20 Christmas song playlists is It's a Wonderful World, which is not a Christmas song, but whenever I hear it, I think Christmas, and it feels like a Christmas song to me. And I think in movies it's very similar. I feel like it does need to take place in or around Christmas time, and beyond that, everything, just to what degree is it a Christmas movie? Do you have, obviously if you have family, if you have friends that are your family, if you have that redemptive arc of some character, if you have, a Santa figure, all that just adds to how Christmassy this movie is until, you have a, Home Alone, which is probably the most Christmas movie you can get as far as like a Christmas movie is concerned. I don't think it gets much more Christmassy than Home Alone, but we'll see. We'll see where we get.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like at the same time, I feel like it can be used to a point that, yes, it's a Christmas movie, but I'm not going to go down that road because that's a negativity I'm not bringing here.
Yeah,
But there's a whole swath of Christmas themed movies that I feel like are just churned out and they just sully the name of a Christmas movie. And but
all the Hallmark movies.
Hey, I didn't say it. You did.
Yeah, I did.
So, anyways, with that, we'll be right back. Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters because this podcast takes tokens.
'Twas the night before Christmas. At the Plaza Nakatomi, not a creature was stirring, except Hans and his cronies. The hostages were huddled, all scared and quite glum, while John McClane was barefoot, making it very hard to run. The terrorists were stacked, with guns and grenades, while Argyle the limo driver in the back seat he played. Christmas tunes on the radio, blissfully unaware of the bloodshed and bullets that would soon fill the air. When out on the terrace there arose such a clatter, Hans sent his men out into the building they did scatter. Awaiting by the window they watched the lights flash as McClane threw a present on Al's hood like some trash. A terrorist with bullets filled just about here. The flash of the muzzles and automatics did glow, and gave way to the mayhem on the squad car below. Soon after Hans' stoic eyes should appear, but the LA SWAT team arriving in full riot gear. With the SWAT tank at the door, so lively and quick, he knew that moment it must be dealt with. More rapid than eagles, the henchmen they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Theo, now Carl, now Franco, now Eddie, now Tony on Marco, on Henchy and Freddy. From the top to the tower, we'll let the rockets fall. Now blast away, blast away, blast away all. The feds arrived on the scene, riding arrogantly high. When given demands from Hans, they did not bat an eye. So up on the rooftop the terrorists they flew, with bags of bearer bonds and hostages too. And then without thinking, John fired from the roof, to frighten back down the hostages who were a bit aloof. As the attention grew by the Fed, and they fired around. As attention grew by the Fed and fired around, they spread. From the building side, John McClane jumped down. His shirt no longer white, blood ran from his head to his toes, tarnished with the dirt from the vents and blood from his foes. A taped down Beretta he had on his back, and he looked quite defiant to draw in an attack. He spoke not a word, he just smiled and laughed. 2 terrorists remained, a bullet for each he had packed. Laid his finger aside the trigger with ease, giving a nod to Holly, who then dropped to her knees. A gun from his back, it sprang like a missile, and away 2 shots flew, taking them down like a whistle. But I heard him exclaim, as Hans fell out of sight, "Yippee-ki-yay, podcast listener. Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
And with that, that is our podcast. We'll see you all later.
That's right. This week we're discussing Die Hard, a Christmas movie, and I will die on the cross defending that one. Die Hard. That is our Christmas movie for this year, along with, Home Alone, but Die Hard. We're here to discuss Die Hard this week.
speaking of that, it is Christmas Eve, and we thank you all for taking part of your holiday and hanging out with us and
Absolutely
discussing fantastic movie. I love to rewatch.
Yes, such a great film.
Yes.
Yippee-ki-yay, let's roll.
I didn't know if you were going to finish that line or not, and I was just about ready to be like, "This is a family show, Derek. We can."
That's right. I know.
Yeah.
As fun as it is, I know.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, a lot of fun. Great movie. Every year I like to do some rendition of A Visit from St. Nicholas. It's one of my favorite holiday things to kind of like to play with that a little bit. So I'm glad I got to do that here. But yeah, Die Hard. Budget of $28 million.
20 million or 28 million? What'd you?
$28 million.
28 million. Okay.
That's right.
They couldn't make this movie for that now.
No, they could not make this movie. They couldn't make an independent film for that much money now.
No. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Go right ahead.
No, worldwide gross of $143 million. Opening weekend, 601,000. Kind of a sad opening weekend. Low, yes.
Wow.
I bet they released it in limited run. This was a summer movie. This released in July 17th, 1988. Summer movie. That's crazy. Yeah, I would not have I guess, you don't have a lot of back then you didn't have a lot of action movies coming out at Christmas time. Plus the cycle of things, this would have been on home video right around Christmas time. So I suppose that kind of tracks out. But summer movie.
I could see this as something that really grew popularity by word of mouth. Because I may be wrong, but I don't know how big of a star Bruce Willis was before this.
Not a huge one. He was on the rise.
And
he had Moonlighting. He was pretty popular for that.
Yeah, there was Moonlighting. And then there was, not necessarily Bruce Willis, but I know Alan Rickman. Was popular.
Virtually unknown in the States before that.
Was he before that?
What did he do before this? I don't remember anything before this.
I don't know. I guess Harry Potter wasn't out at that point, but
no Harry Potter at this point.
But yeah, I could see this as something like it kind of had almost a silent release, I guess. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. And then it was just something that had to have just been like, people that went and saw it were like, oh my gosh, you got to go see this, and it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, the $601,000 opening week. I got to imagine a lot of people saw this movie coming out and were like, a Christmas movie in July? I'm not going to go see a Christmas movie in the middle of the summer. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, what was it, Beverly Hills Cop that we watched back in the summer? Like, that was well, I guess that was released around Christmas. Was that one wasn't a Christmas movie?
Was that one a Christmas movie?
I don't remember. It's been a while since we watched it. It released around Christmas, I think. I remember right. That's where our thing was. But anyway, Die Hard. Did you know? I didn't realize until I was watching this again, because it had been a couple of years since I'd seen this movie. It's based on a novel.
That's right. Actually, I think there was a movie that they did before this with Frank Sinatra in the John McClane role, but the names were different and the story was a little differently. And this was supposed to be a sequel to that, or there may have been. There was a movie that was done before it. I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure it starred Frank Sinatra, or they wanted Frank Sinatra for this one, but he was too old at this point.
Can you imagine this with Frank Sinatra?
That would be. We wouldn't be talking about it. We'd be talking about whatever movie Bruce Willis did instead of this one.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, yeah, I can't. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked as well for sure. Yeah. No, I can't imagine anybody else in this role.
No.
But
absolutely not.
At the same time, like, I feel like this is that moment where it really didn't matter what he did as long as it had enough meat for him to sink his teeth into. Bruce Willis would have made whatever happened out of whatever he was given at this time, because he was just, this was his moment, and this was whenever he was gonna break out. And if it wasn't this, it would have been, something else. It would have been whatever the next thing is, or whatever. He would have ended up here. But yeah, like, it's just, it wouldn't be the same without him. Without him, or Alan Rickman, or even Reginald VelJohnson.
Oh, yeah.
Sergeant Powell, yeah. I
mean, oh, my gosh.
He is, like, hitting a homer with this role.
Yep.
And, like, he
great.
always plays the same kind of cop. But, man, how did he not do more? Like, how have we not seen him in more stuff? Because he is fantastic in this.
Oh, he's great in it. And yes. Another good thing I think that came out of this, one of my favorite, like, family sitcoms is Family Matters. I love it. And it came out, maybe a year or two after this, and I'm sure that he landed that role because of this movie.
They were just like, what if let's just follow this guy home and see what his home life is like?
Yeah.
It's not the same character, is it?
No, it's not Carl Winslow.
Okay, that's right. He's Carl Winslow. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and it's in a different city. Family Matters takes place in Chicago, but
yeah, that's right.
But I'm sure the writers looked at, or producers or whatever, were looking at, we need somebody to play, an African American police officer. Well, did you see Die Hard? Because Reginald VelJohnson did excellent in that, playing that role. Let's see if we can't get him to do it.
Yeah.
I'm speculating, but I can't imagine that's not how that went down. But I don't know.
I imagine that. Like, they saw this and they were like, we got to build something around this character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he did, like you say, fantastic. Like,
he was great. I think he was, like, I enjoyed the scenes with him just as much as I did the ones with Bruce Willis. And even Alan Rickman at that. Like, Alan Rickman is just spectacular in this movie. He is born to play like a villain. He does such a good job.
He is Hans Gruber.
Oh, he is. He absolutely is. You believe it through and through that he's just this terrorist. Yeah. But what a waste, though, because he talks about how he has, like, this classical education. He's very, very intelligent man, and just to go down this path of, like, terrorism, I guess, and I don't know. Well, I would have liked to know a little more about him.
But they're not terrorists. He's a high-end thief.
Well,
so he's in it for the chase.
Yeah.
He's like Winona Ridering it. Like, he's here for the chase, the thrill of it.
That's it.
He doesn't need it.
Yeah. That's one thing I did like when he's giving his demands, and he, like, says, I can't remember what their name was, but he, like, says one group because he's trying to get all these other people, like, released. And
like the Faux Dynasty or something like that.
Yeah, and what's his, like, second command? What was that guy's name? It was
the Hans or whatever.
Yeah,
Carl.
Was it Carl? Yeah, Carl like looks at him, and he like turns on the walkie-talkie for a second. He's like, "I read about them in Time magazine." He goes back to
it was Crimson Dawn or something.
Crimson,
like that. Yeah, or something Dong or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it was like. It had like a Korean, South Asian name. But
yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I like that look that Carl shoots at me. He's like, what? Yeah, that was great. Or, like that guy, though, Ellis. Oh, man. I feel like if they didn't kill him, he would have gone off with them happily and just, like, been like, hey, babe, I'll roll with y'all. Whatever you want to do, let's go. And then like, gone off into, like, a life of thievery or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
He was not... if not that, then he was definitely due for a sexual harassment lawsuit or getting busted with possession or something, because
he was such a tool.
He was a sleazeball for sure.
Oh my gosh. He was one of those characters that, like, when he gets killed, it's one of those times where you're just like, you got what you deserved, you son of a gun. Like, because he's just like, I don't think that he was trying to take the high road and be like, oh, I got to save these people. I think it was more like, I want to like take the glory for saving all these people. You know, it wasn't.
I'm a salesman. I'm going to get the sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
He was a jerk. He was a jerk, and he's trying. He's like trying to get John killed so that he can try to make a pass at his wife. Like, that's the only reason.
He's already made several of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's not having any of it.
No. Did you notice? So the beginning of the movie, when John's on the plane, the guy that's sitting next to him is Eugene's dad from the Monster Squad.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the one that's like, oh, you under the bed, take a hike, or whatever. Yeah.
I was thinking I'd seen him in like some procedural or something. Like, wasn't he on like one of the Law and Orders or?
I'm sure he probably was. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw him in this, I was like, oh yeah, I think I saw that guy in like one of those Law and Orders or something like that. Maybe I was, but yeah, I didn't recognize him from Monster Squad. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And then the lady that was on the blonde that was on the news, like, of course she was in Monster Squad too. She was the mom.
She was the therapist from Lethal Weapon.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that was a lot of like, just like who's that person people from this time period. I remember reading somewhere or seeing something somewhere. Maybe I read it in Time magazine. I don't remember.
I hope it was.
The actor that played Carl, I can't remember his name. He was like a professional ballerina. Like, he
really
was in the ballet and was like, had a doctorate or something. Like, he was like incredibly intelligent too. Like, he had like multiple degrees or like a physics doctorate or something like that. And just remember thinking, wow, that's insane. But like, you never know with some people.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, just another one that, like, man, him, like the part where, like, you can tell, like, we know later on, like they mentioned, like, that, him and his brother and him are part of this crew. What was his brother's name? Tony?
I can't remember. It was like another like almost German name. It was
but his brother was the one that was like in the beginning, right before they took over the building. And his brother's down there in the phone lines as John's on the phone, and he's like tying off the phone line so it doesn't like call out to 911 when they cut it. And his brother just walks in all nonchalant, revs up that chainsaw and just starts going down the line. He's like, I'm not done yet. And he's like, got to rush through it real quick and get it done. That's the brother dynamic right there.
Yes.
And it was great. Yeah. Just seeing that, I was like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, they're brothers. I can see it now. Like, I remember, from watching them before, they mentioned that they're brothers, and now, absolutely, that's brothers right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if they were just two random henchmen, they would have gone at each other. But they're brothers, and they know, we're here. But did you see the? So John, he's got that giant stuffed teddy bear, right? Mm-hmm. Who's he bringing that teddy bear for?
I would assume for his daughter.
I would have too, but then what's he bringing his son?
We know who the favorite is now.
Yeah, right. He brings her this giant teddy bear, and his son, he's just like, "Hey, Slugger, having a high five."
Yeah, You want to hold my gun for a minute? Like,
That's right. I'll teach you how to shoot. You can look at my badge.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought about that. I was like, he's got that one teddy bear, but he's got 2 kids. Like, what's he got for the son? I don't know. Maybe he had something in his backpack.
Maybe. Yeah, they just didn't.
Mickey
Maybe there
Mouse
was
heart or
a
something.
deleted scene or something that they didn't put in there. I don't know.
Definitely a big teddy bear for the daughter.
Oh,
Or maybe
yeah.
it was for the wife. Who knows? Yeah, like,
Who knows? He's trying to patch things up with her,
He's trying to patch things up. Yeah. Man, that's a tough position. Like, he's got an established career in New York, and then she gets this job on the other coast. That's an impossible situation. I hope to never be put in that situation.
I don't know. I thought about that. And maybe this is me. Like, maybe it's just me. Like, I have a good career, but to me, like, that is not... Can I get serious here for a minute? But, like, that's not me. Like, my career is what I do to earn a living, to be who I want to be, and to be a husband, be a father, and to have my hobbies and my things that I do that I enjoy. It's just a means of getting money, and insurance and, all that stuff. And if my wife got a really good job somewhere, like, you can bet your butt, like, I'm going with her, because I'm not going to have my kids be on the other side of the country, and me not be able to see them every day. So, I don't know. That's just the difference between me and John McClane, I guess. I wouldn't make the cut as John McClane. I'd have been dead, like, as soon as those guys walked into that office. Like, that's...
But I think that's the crux of the problem with their relationship, is they're both defined by their careers.
Yeah.
First, as people. And, maybe that's just a product of this hustle culture that kind of came out of the 80s, as far as, like, your career is who you are. And something that I feel like societally we're starting to kind of shift away from again. And we're getting into more of, like you said, for most people, it's just a way to make money. And, who you are is separate from that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And, if you can make money doing what you love, by all means, go for it. And absolutely. I wish that for everybody in the world, but not all of us can, or it's not realistic. And sometimes you just got to have a job that pays the bills. That's just all it comes down to. But like, that's an impossible situation.
Yeah,
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm like you though. Like, if my wife was offered a job on the other side of the country, we're moving. Like, I can do what I do from anywhere and be perfectly fine. I mean, there's some adjustments for sure, but
sure,
I'm okay with it. I got no problem. Even if I was still back working, in the semiconductor factory. I could walk away from that in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
I already did.
Yeah.
But but man, in that particular case, like, that's a hard decision for sure. But like, I think, like, he could have walked away and been fine with it. But, like, and found a career out there in LA. But, I don't know. Maybe it's a different time. Maybe it's New York. I don't know.
Look at him. Like, look what he just did, right?
Yeah.
Here's my resume.
Like, he's getting a job with LA.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's right. That's right.
But at the same time, I think this also might be like the commentary that the Hollywood seemed to be making about LA at this time in the 80s. It was very much so this, like, New York thumbing their noses at West Coast California LA culture. Yeah. Because you see him whenever he's walking the street and everything like that, and he's like, oh, LA, man. Yeah. Like, there was definitely this like East Coast, West Coast attitude thing going on in these movies. And we saw it in Beverly Hills Cop. You know, he comes over from Detroit and he's in LA and he's just like, man, LA is just crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really what it is. There was just this whole like East Coast, West Coast thing going on in Hollywood, and they were putting it on film at the time, and they always depicted it in the same way, like East Coast people not wanting to come to the West Coast for, I guess at the time, altruistic reasoning. But yeah, that's just, that's where we were at the time in the culture, I suppose. Yeah. But so back to Reginald VelJohnson, our sergeant. He buys every single Twinkie in this gas station.
For his wife.
All of them. For his wife. And he's clear. Like, you know, my wife's pregnant. I'm getting her Twinkies. Ha ha ha. But the cashier keeps giving him crap about buying all these Twinkies. He's like, yeah, right. It's for your wife. I'm like, dude, you're the same size as him. Are you in a position where you can really say something like that?
Right.
I don't know. I thought that one kind of stood out to me.
He just takes it. He's just like, whatever, you know.
It's LA, man.
Yeah. It is. So something about that scene. So when he is coming out of the convenience store and he's getting ready to get in his car and he gets that call saying, you know, hey, can you go check on, you know, Nakatomi Plaza? There's, you know, this stuff going on, you know, like at that point the fire department had been called and then they got called off.
We might have a bogus call.
Yeah. And you would think though from there, because there's like gunfire on the roof in that same scene, like it goes back and there's gunfire going on. Wouldn't he be able to hear that gunfire from there? I mean, I know the plaza's like super tall, but you would think
it's far
you'd be
enough
able
away.
to hear, like, I don't know, it didn't look that far from where he was in the, you know, at the convenience store.
I think over the sound of the city, though, you wouldn't hear it. I think it would be muffled out by because he's right next to he's next to that road and everything like that.
That's true. Yeah.
So I imagine it's, you know, I don't know. I haven't heard too much gunfire in person. Usually been close enough to it that I couldn't tell you what it would sound like from a distance.
Yeah.
Although, no, I take that back. Because every year on New Year's at midnight, we have gunfire that goes off around us.
Okay.
But it also kind of sounds like fireworks. And we also have fireworks that go off around us. So we have a combination of people firing guns in the air and
Texas,
fireworks.
man.
And they sound the same. Oh, no, I know. This is Kansas City boy in Texas. Man. Yeah. That happens. And but like I said, it sounds just like fireworks.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, and it's all kind of at a bit of a distance. Other than like, you know, fireworks, you kind of got that like that little bit of like, and then the gunfire is more like pop, pop, pop.
Yeah.
So there's a slight difference there, but I don't know. It all kind of like blends.
Yeah.
So from a distance, I imagine, because that like isn't that far away from my house. I know, like that it's within like a block of my home.
Sure. Yeah.
So anything further out than that, I imagine it would probably be covered
Muffled.
up. I don't think you would hear it. Yeah. Especially as high up as that building is.
Oh, yeah.
When you think about like they land helicopters up on top of that building, I'm sure that people don't hear that from down below.
That's probably true. Yeah. One of the best scenes, though, I think, with him, it's how he pulls up to Nakatomi Plaza, and you know he goes in and looks at everything, he's investigating or whatever, and then he leaves, and I'll see you later. And he's on the horn, and he's like, yeah, there's nothing going on here. And then that body lands on his truck, and then they start opening fire at him, and he's like, I need backup. He's just now. You could just hear the terror and the panic in his voice, and he's just backing up and, falls off the edge of that, of that parking lot. And it's so funny. Now.
Yes. No, man. Yeah, that was. But again, that's just like excellent. Excellent delivery.
Yeah.
Believed him. He was terrified for sure.
Yeah. And
then he gets out and he's got like all this little like bits all over him, and he's got like a crumpled something in his hand, and I was like, is that like paperwork or what? And then I realized this last time I was watching it, it's like flowers, because he went through like the flower bush, so it's like little bits of flowers that are flying everywhere.
Yeah.
I think they're like they look like kind of like magnolias or something like that. But yeah, like just tore it up.
Yeah. Well, his car was like, well, what was he saying? He's like, they're shooting up my car like Swiss cheese.
Yeah. And then goes across the band, and then the TV crews are coming in. Yeah. They took him seriously then, man. They come in hot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they were. Yeah.
I like how they're rolling in, and he's like, stay back.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. He did such a good job.
Yeah. I don't know. But that Twinkie thing, I was just like, come on.
Yeah.
Let the guy have his Twinkies.
Yeah. Just give him a break.
I never liked Twinkies. Did you ever like Twinkies?
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, it's not something that I haven't had one in years, but when I have eaten them, I think they're pretty good,
What's your go-to, like, Hostess, Little Debbie, Entenmann's?
Hands down, it is those little mini donuts that are chocolate covered.
Yes.
They're almost waxy.
Yes.
And I love them. Like, I got some maybe a month ago. Mindy and my wife and I were at the store, and I was like, I want some of these, and I got a bag of them. And I get back to the house, and I'm taking these to the bedroom so nobody else has them. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, these are mine.
They're awesome.
They are so good. Yeah.
That is my every time I drive back up north and visit you guys, or go on a road trip, the first stop I make is at a convenience store to top up with gas, and then I'll grab a Monster and a bag of and a little sleeve of like the little like 8-pack or whatever, the little row of those chocolate donuts, and then I hit the road and I'm good to go. That's my road trip snack for sure.
They're so good.
But my favorite is probably the Nutter Butter. Like, hands down, the Nutter Butter is so good
too. Those are good too.
Yeah. But we went to Seattle, and on the pier or whatever, the big wharf, there was this little donut place we went to, and they made the little donuts and dipped them in chocolate and everything fresh right there, and we got a little bag of those. Those were amazing. I bet. If you can ever get them fresh, holy crap. But yeah, that's my food talk for the day.
Yeah, the Twinkies, I don't know, they're okay, like, they're good, but it's not something that I seek out. Now, I have never tried it. I would like to try a deep fried one sometime, just to try it.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I'd try it and give it a shot. Yeah. So whenever John gets to Nakatomi Plaza, he walks in and he asks the guard, he's like, hey, I'm here for Holly McClane or whatever. And the guard's like, oh yeah, just hit the touch screen below and you can sign in. So he makes him go through the touch screen, which I get for the plot, makes sense. Yeah. It's a beat or whatever. But he goes through the touch screen and he can't find her under her married name, and he finds her under the maiden name, which is probably the whole reason why they went through this. But he goes through it and he's like, well, it says she's on like the whatever floor. And the guard's like, yeah, that's the one with the party. They're the only ones left in the building. Why'd you even have them look it up? There's only one group left in the building. They're there. Like, that's where you go. But like, what are we going through this whole rigmarole of this touch station thing? Oh no, it's just to show off the technology and then to establish that she changed her name. Cool, I got that. We showed that like 7 other times throughout the movie. But yeah, the guard was just like, "Oh yeah, it's the only people in the building. Go on up." I think you could have started there.
I find it very hard to believe in a building that size that nobody else is in there except for
this one group on Christmas Eve.
I know it's Christmas Eve, and I know the building's not finished yet because they're still working on, they're working on different floors. They're putting.
But isn't it his building, like Takaki or whatever? Like,
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
yeah. They probably just haven't rented it out to anybody else.
Well, that could be.
Them all out
yeah,
or whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe it's all for the business.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, then why does he need to? Like you're saying, why does he need to? Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I know. Yeah, I'm right there. Yeah. I think it was just for the whole, like, they needed to show off touchscreen technology because this is what, 88? Like, touchscreen technology was, like, that was brand new. That was a whole, like, thing back then. And, they had to establish that she changed her name back to her. She went back to her maiden name to kind of rub it into him a little bit more. But, like I said, they touch on that, like, so many other times throughout the movie that I feel like you could have cut that out and it would have been fine. But, yeah. There we are. We could have done a little bit more of, John fighting with bad guys instead of John being upset by his wife's decisions to be independent of him.
Right.
But the bad guys, man, they enter the building. They come in very, like, militant. Like, they have a plan and they execute with some precision.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah. They came in and took out the guard, replaced him, cut the lines. Like, it was just like bump, 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 bump. They had all these beats and they hit it. They executed perfectly, except for gathering everybody together. They missed one guy, and as he says, the fly in the ointment. But we wouldn't have the movie.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think it was almost like, to me, it was almost too perfect. Because it seemed like, even with John, like everything that's happening, it seems like Hans is like, "Oh yeah, I've planned for this."
Yeah,
and I'm like, how have you planned for this? Unless he's just like so arrogant, he's like, "Oh yeah, I've planned for this. It's fine. Like things aren't going the way I want them to go, but it's all in the plan."
Well, I think that's what it is. Like he's one of those leaders that's not. He hasn't given the full breadth of the plan. Like even what's his name that's working the Theo that's doing the breaking into the vault. He's like, I can do all this stuff, but I don't know how you expect me to get through the 7th layer, without the code or whatever. And he's like, leave it to me, I got it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like his thing is like, he's like, I'll figure it out on the fly and then make it seem like that was part of the plan the whole time, because I'm not going to give you the whole plan up front.
And I guess that does make sense, because watching that was one scene that really kind of bothered me is the wrong way to say it, but like made me think about this, because I'm like, how did he know they were trying to keep the authorities and everything completely out of this, right? Like they're cutting the phone lines, they're like making it, the fire department gets called, like, oh, we'll just call, tell them, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they wanted them there right away. They wanted them there on their timetable.
Okay, because I
think their plan was to call them and make demands, say, hey, we have hostages and here's our demands. But then John accelerated that timetable for them, because I think he even mentions that. He's like, hey, it's the same plan. We're just on a faster timetable now, or something like that. Okay.
Because I was wondering, like, how was he planning on the power grid being shut down to allow them to get through that 7th layer?
I think he had that plan. Like, I think he had the major tent poles of the plan. I think he had in place. Like, he knew to come in and that they'd have one guard because he'd scouted it out. Take out the guard. You sit down. You're good to go. Which, whenever they come in, like Theo's walking in with Carl, and he's just running his mouth about like some football game or something.
Basketball
like that.
game. Yeah, he's talking about Magic Johnson. Yeah.
And like he is just like going a mile a minute. Now, was he being purposely distracting, or is he just a motor mouth? But either way, it works.
I think that I think it's maybe a combination of both. I think that was an excellent way to get in there and then just
not be questioned.
Yes, not be questioned. And then Carl just pulls that gun out. and I felt bad for the guard because I'm like, at least give the guard a chance. Like, here, we're going to tie you up back here, or something. Yeah. Everybody else gets tied up upstairs, or they gets put upstairs. Like, what's this? Like, this guy looks super innocent at one point. Like, when he sees the car pull up, he looks at them. And then he kind of looks back down and he kind of smirks his mouth a little bit like he's thinking about something and just kind of tilts his head. And you're like, oh, this is just a nice guy, he's just hanging out. He's watching the ball game,
No, yeah. He just came in, but everybody had a plan except for John. John came in. His plan was just somehow figure it out, get back together with his wife, take off his shoes, and grip the carpet with his toe. What was it? Curl your toes into the carpet or whatever it was. Which I think this movie is the reason why I wear my shoes everywhere until I get home.
Yeah.
Even when we stay in hotels, my shoes stay on until I get into bed.
Yeah.
Generally. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because of this movie right here.
That was the I'm sure if he could take one thing back, it would be just to keep his dang shoes on. Because, I didn't realize, for some reason I was thinking later in this movie he finds shoes. But then, watching this again, I'm like, gosh, he goes through this whole thing barefoot.
Yep. Even goes out inside.
Outside, jumping on
which
buildings.
I guess is LA,
buildings. Yeah. Barefoot. Yeah. Man, he's tough.
Tough, that's right.
Tough, yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine not having the shoes. I don't remember. I think he keeps his shoes on in the second one. I haven't seen that. I have not watched the second one as much.
Yeah,
that one
I remember
I rewatch again.
When we were growing up. I remember you had recorded Die Hard with a Vengeance, and you brought that, and we watched that very often.
A lot, yeah.
And but I don't remember watching the second one as much. I think I've only seen the second one two or three times. I don't even remember much from it. I know it's on a plane, but
in an airport.
Airport, okay.
Yeah. There is a part with a plane, but okay. it's on an. I think it takes place in an airport. Yeah, there's planes in an airport.
But I kind of want to go back and watch them all now that I've seen. Well, I don't want to watch Live Free or Die Hard.
Or what's the other one? Die Hard Again or Die Harder? There's another one they did. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, the thing with Live Free or Die Hard, of all of them, that is the only one that's rated PG-13. All the other ones are R ratings, and I'm like, and plus it's got Justin Long, and I can't stand Justin Long.
Oh, really?
Okay. Gosh. But I want to go back. I want to rewatch
2 and 3.
2 and 3. The third one's got Sam Jackson in it.
Third one's. Yeah. Third one is one of those movies that's it's a rarity that a third film in the franchise is as good as, if not better, than the previous entry in the film. And that says a lot. That doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
That says a lot, for sure. But,
so when I'm watching this one, the first time, I'm like, man, Argyle. I think he'd be a fun guy to hang out with.
Yes. Yes. Jamming in the back of the limo. Argyle seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, he does.
I got that on my notes too. Argyle seems like he'd be a fun hang. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
I love everything. Everything about him. It's just he's just chilling. He's all this stuff's going on in the background. He's like, "Nah, baby, I'm here in this this limousine." He's just hanging out with the teddy bear. Theo. Yeah. He
takes
does.
down one of the bad guys, yeah.
Yep. Now what happens? It doesn't show this, but I'm like, I would like to see what happens with Theo after this is over, because he knocks him out. He's not dead. Yeah. So
he goes to jail.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But everybody else is dead. All the other guys in that group are dead. Theo's the only one still alive. So is he taking the rap for this whole thing? I don't know what they're...
Probably, if he's the only one left.
Yeah.
But that ties into my idea I have an idea. So, Die Hard, Bruce Willis is retired. He's not doing any more films. So we're not getting another John McClane Die Hard. But we can get a bit of a reboot, if you will, or a legacy project. I think it would have to be a legacy movie. Okay. And here's how we do it. Here's the elevator pitch. So the movie opens up on Jack, John's son, finding out that his dad just died under some suspicious circumstances. And he's a forensics detective. So he's smart and trained, but he's reluctant to get physical. And, it could be that Theo got out of prison and tracked down John and took him out. And now his son, Jack, has to go and exact revenge on his father's death or something like that.
Yeah.
I think we could have a Die Hard reboot or a legacy project in our hands. We could cast somebody like, I don't know, Aaron Taylor Johnson or Jake Gyllenhaal or somebody like that. To play the Jack part. Because they had to be in their late 30s.
Yeah.
I think that could work.
Yeah.
We got to start a production company. We got some ideas. We're gonna start making some sequels.
That's right.
We're gonna make them right.
Yeah. We're not even gonna get the rights to this. We're just gonna make them.
That's right. Home video style.
That's right.
We'll get somebody to animate it. We'll just do voice work. I think this movie might be the reason why I have anxiety around tight spaces. Because whenever he gets in that air duct, I forget how small that is until I watch it again. Oh my God. I don't know how he turned. Like, to go down. It gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
Don't have any other choice.
No, I guess not.
It's either that or fall down that shaft.
Yeah.
Which
he fell quite a ways until he caught that lip.
Oh my gosh.
I'm surprised he caught that.
Yeah. That's a rough scene because I don't like heights and I don't like tight places.
You got both of them.
Yeah. And I don't like the scene where he's like on the elevator either, like on top of the elevator, and it's like, like going up really fast.
Doesn't he know that's how Jack died in Mission Impossible?
Yeah, it's rough. I'm like, gosh darn. There's no way. Like, I don't like elevators anyway. I don't trust them. I don't like getting in them. If I can,
do you get on them quickly and then off of them quickly?
Honestly, if I can absolutely avoid it, I take the stairs every time. Even if it's multiple flights, I do not trust elevators because I don't want to get stuck in one. I'm always worried about getting stuck in one. I don't like them.
I've never been stuck in an elevator for longer than okay. The most I've been stuck in an elevator was actually pretty recently. I was in Austin and I was parked in this parking garage, which all four corners had an elevator on. And I parked next to one of the elevators and walked over and saw the sign that said elevators out of order. So then I walked across the parking garage to the next elevator, which also had a sign that said elevators out of order. So then I walked down the length of the parking garage, the adjacent angle, to which a third elevator said out of service. At this point, I have walked up to the 5th floor of the parking garage. So I walked to the 4th and final elevator, hoping that it works. And it does. It doesn't have a sign. I press the button. The elevator comes up. The doors open in kind of like a stutter. I got on, pressed my floor, and the elevators close rather loudly. And then it sat there, and it shaked, and it grumbled, and I felt it move. And the doors opened back up, and I was on the 4th floor. Not the ground floor like I was planning on being.
Yeah.
I was on the 4th floor. And I thought, let's see if we can get all the way down. So I hit the ground floor button again, and the elevator doors slowly shut. And then they slowly open back up again after a couple minutes of writhing, for lack of a better term. And I'm on the 4th floor still, and I thought, okay, I'll take the stairs.
This is why I don't trust him.
No, I know. I don't blame you. So then I'm coming back to the hotel later that night, and I see somebody getting on and off the elevator. And I make a mental note, and I'm like, oh, okay, they must have fixed it or whatever. And so whenever I didn't have to ride the elevator again until I left because everything was within walking distance of the hotel. And so whenever I go to leave, I have my bag, so I'm like, I'm going to take the elevator because I'm not going to haul this thing up 4 flights. And so I get on the elevator, and I ride the elevator again, and I press the button, and the doors kind of shake shut, and I'm like, oh, God, maybe it won't go anywhere. I don't know. Worst case, I got to walk up 4 flights. And so then the elevator goes, and it grumbles, and it carries on. It sounds like a dragon that smoked too many cigarettes or something. And then the doors open up, and I'm on the 5th floor. And I missed the for whatever, it says 4th floor, but I'm on the 5th floor. I know I'm on the 5th because it's now roof. I'm like, okay. So again, I got back on, and I pressed 4, hoping I would get down to the 4th floor. It did its whole thing, and I ended up on the 3rd. For whatever reason, it just wasn't stopping on the 4th floor. I don't know what the deal was, so I walked up the flight to the 4th floor and left. I hope everybody's okay, and that elevator has not hurt anybody. But yeah, I can understand your fear with elevators after that experience.
They're terrible.
Yeah, but that's the only bad experience I've ever had with an elevator. Other than that, they've all worked fine for me. I've never had an issue. Although whenever I was working for TI, one of the elevators stopped between floors and opened the doors, and there were people on it, and they climbed out up to whatever the next one was.
Not doing
I
that.
would not have. No, I would not have.
That thing starts moving?
No.
Yeah. I'll wait
I can't
till the
move
fire
fast enough.
department
Nope.
gets here.
Maybe I would dive out the bottom, but I would definitely not climb through the top. I found that to be interesting. And there was a couple times where it did stop, and it was about 6 inches high. So like the doors would open, and you'd have like a step down to get off.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
But that just kind of became par for the course. I expected that from those elevators, but I never had it stop between floors for me. I guess I have had some rough experiences in elevators and just dismissed it.
Yeah. Well, we have one at the hospital that it is the staff elevator, and they use it for like surgeries and stuff like that. And it has frequently shut down and got locked. Like people have been locked in the thing. It's like, no, I'll take stairs every time. I'm not messing with that.
Nah, yeah. Okay, I can get that. Yeah. All right.
So, favorite kill in this movie?
Ooh, you know what? Probably just because it feels like instant karma. Whenever he's in the boardroom and the 2 guys come in, and he takes out one of the guys pretty quick, but then the other guy, he gets trapped under the table, and he's coming at him with the submachine gun, and he keeps like crawling up, and then he's like, hey, looks like you ran out of table, blah, 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 or whatever. And the guy is sitting there reloading, and he says something like, because the guy busted in, and he was like, hey, don't shoot, whatever. And then, quickly turned on John. And whenever he corners him at the end of the table, he's like, next time, make sure you take the shot or whatever. And John's like, yeah, I won't miss. And then like fires up through the table and shoots the guy, like, I guess in his legs and everything. Yeah. And that one was probably one of my favorites for sure. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Hans falling at the end, because just love. There's something about, I love watching people fall long distances in movies, and even at that, like that's practice, like that's real, like that's a stunt guy, falling from that height. Like you obviously don't see them hitting the airbag at the bottom, but like,
well, the part that we see with Hans looking at the camera, like they have him clipped into a wire harness, and he's sitting there, and they're like, okay, we're gonna count backwards from 3, and then we're gonna release it, and you're gonna fall like 10 feet or whatever into this bag. And he's like, all right. what's the Alan Rickman, the actor. He's like, okay. And so the director's like, all right, everybody ready? Scene and action. And then they start rolling the cameras. And then they just cut it, and they don't count backwards. And so that reaction that you see on Alan Rickman's face is genuine because they didn't count backwards for him. So he was like, "Oh crap!" Like it just released prematurely or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's how like the director captured like that genuine moment of terror that's in his eyes. But,
and I wondered, like in that scene, like he's hanging on to Holly, and then
watch.
And he's like looking up and he's pulling his gun up, and I'm like, what's he planning on doing here? Like, is he like trying to shoot Holly? Is he, because if he shoots her, then he's falling.
He's definitely going down.
Is he trying to shoot John and then hope that he can like climb up Holly to get back up? Like,
I think that's what it is.
I mean, I guess you're in desperation mode at that point. Yeah, like I don't know, but yeah, that's such a well, if you can say a death in a movie is fun to watch, like that's just it's tough because it's
satisfying.
Like it's satisfying, but at the same time, I kind of, even though he's a villain, I kind of like him. Like he brings something to him, to the character that you're like, I kind of see, like, I don't know, I can see this guy, or whatever, and I don't know, I like that. Like when he is talking with what's his name, the guy that owns the building, Takagi, and he's like really having, I feel like he's having a genuine conversation with him. Like they're talking about suits, they're talking about architecture, whatever, and then he gets to the point, he's like, well, I'd love to talk about men's fashion and architecture with you some more, but I just we've got to get to business here. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was great. I like whenever one of the other things I liked is whenever the LAPD SWAT starts storming the building, and they're all just like, it's very, I don't know if it's cliche or what, but they're all just kind of like hut, and then like storming into the building and everything.
Yeah.
And then there's that one SWAT guy that pricks himself on the rosebush. He's like, ow.
Yeah.
He walks by, and I'm like, that's the guy you're sending in?
Yeah.
Like, or like as they're coming in, like all the terrorists are like down in the lobby getting like set up, ready to like ambush them. And then there's that one guy that stands behind the candy counter, and he kind of looks down. He looks back over, and he looks down, and he looks back over, and he's like, he reaches in and grabs a candy bar and has a little snack
or the Hershey's, or whatever. Yeah, that guy, like, he's a henchman in a lot of like movies from around that time.
Movies. Yes,
I don't remember what his name is, but like I know he was in Big Trouble in Little China, I think, and I don't know. There's a bunch
Bill
of
and
stuff.
Ted,
Yeah,
Lethal Weapon, Die Hard. Yeah, he's been all over the place. Still around, too. Like, he's still doing stuff. I haven't really seen him in anything lately. Mm-hmm. Deadwood, I think he was in that. Scorpion King was probably one of the last things I saw him in. He did an episode of That 70s Show. He was a Ninja Warrior.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yep, that's when Fez is pretending to be...
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I got him, I see he's got a credit for Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 4.
Okay.
Lethal Weapon, he's Endo, and in Lethal Weapon 4, he's Woo Sang-koo. Trident member.
Okay.
Triad member, sorry.
Triad member,
Don't mean to offend the Triad community. But, yeah, like, I guess they didn't think people would notice the same actor in two different movies, but they do that all the time. Hollywood kind of dismisses, marginalizes those. Last Action Hero, yeah, that's right. He was in Last Action Hero.
Was he in Last Action Hero?
Yeah, I think he was driving the whenever the boy Danny first comes across the screen and meets Arnold's character, he's the henchman driving the car that's chasing him. I believe, if I remember correctly. That's like one of my favorite movies, so I have a pretty picturesque memory of that one. Yeah, Hot Shots Part 2. Anyways, I could go down the list. Yeah, he's been in so many.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that's just like, you see him, you're like, oh yeah, that guy, he's been in so many things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just stands out. He's so memorable, and he always gives like, he's a good character actor. The character has a little like flair, like that part where he reaches down and grabs the candy bar. I can imagine that that's something that the actor did on the day of.
Ad-libbed on, and yeah,
and they just kind of rolled with it. I don't know. Yeah. I would believe it. I don't know if that's something that they wrote into it, or if that's. I would tend to believe that's something that he came up with. Just because, like, everything you see him in, he's got like he's one of those character actors, and the characters all have kind of like that. They stand out a little bit. They have a little something to them. And that's why he's a character actor. And that's what they're good at.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole scene that was great.
Yeah.
Or whenever, like, I think during that scene, like, Theo's kind of, like, commentating it, and he kind of starts, like, which is what gave me the idea for the intros. He kind of starts, like, the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas thing, and he's like, you know, all right, it was the night before Christmas, and whatever he says, I can't remember. And then he just kind of leaves it there, and I was like, oh, I was kind of hoping he'd go a little bit longer, and I would just use that for the intro.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, okay, so, because I watched the movie yesterday, and so I sat down last night, and I just started rewriting it, and getting it ready for the episode, but yeah, that was great, and he's commentating the whole time. And the quarterback is toast. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So whenever John McClane drops that C4 strapped to the chair with the monitor cherry on top and takes out that entire floor, how does the building not come down?
Yeah,
because my lord.
I think, yes. I think realistically, if we think about that, they design buildings like that now to be able to withstand,
I guess, earthquakes.
Things
so
like
could
that.
Withstand that.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, there's so many things John does that it's pure luck that, like, no innocent people are killed with what he's doing. I feel like,
right?
Yeah, I'm surprised, like, nobody, I don't know, fell off the roof when he's, like, opening fire. I get why he's opening fire on the roof, because he can't get anybody to get down. Yeah. But and those FBI agents, man, you want to talk about the real villains of the movie? Those guys are jerks.
Just came in guns blazing.
We're okay with 25% casualties.
Yeah.
Like, are you really? Like, these people have families. Like, what is your deal? Like,
well,
I'm
you know
glad
what? They fell in the 20%.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad that you died.
That's another one.
Yes. And it seems like I've seen that agent. He's kind of got, like, the pochmarked face. Like, I've seen him in several things, but I can't put my finger on what they were. But he was in, like, a lot of movies back in, like, the late 80s and early 90s, I feel like.
He reminds me of what's his name? He played Thanos in the recent.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, he reminds me of, if he was a Brolin, I would believe it. Because he kind of reminds me of a Brolin, I guess. But I don't know his name. I don't.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
I didn't do any research on it. It's just something I thought of, as we're having the conversation. But,
what were their names whenever they came in? They gave, like, some, like, generic, like, I'm John Smith and he's John Smith or something.
Yeah, it was like Johnson and Johnson or something like that.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, it was Big Johnson and Little Johnson.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of anything else I've seen that guy in. But he's definitely, like, I've seen him in stuff. Oh, he was in Goonies.
Oh, that's right. That's where I've seen him at. Yeah. He's
maybe that's why I think of Josh Brolin whenever I see him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
does he play one of the henchmen? Yeah, he's one of the henchmen.
He's one of the the sons of I can't remember what her name is. The
woman. What's her name? Yeah, Ma, I think is what they call her.
Yeah.
All right, I can see that. But yeah, sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, the Die Hard, man. That's just that's another one. Every year I gotta watch. I mean, I'm the only one in the house that watches it. Nobody else in the house enjoys it. Well, I mean, my wife is like okay with it. She'll, sit there and puzzle or scroll her phone while I'm on it.
That was my wife. When I was watching it, I watched it was it last night? Or maybe it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was Tuesday night. I was watching it. And yeah, she was sitting on the couch and scrolling her phone. She ended up leaving. There was about 30 minutes left, and she went and brushed her teeth and everything, went and laid down. But,
that's the best part.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how much attention she was really paying to it.
No, none at all, I'm sure.
Yeah.
She was completely checked out on her thing. But it's fine. Whatever. That's what it is.
But I'd forgotten how good this movie was. Like I said, it had been a while since I'd seen it. I mean, it's always on around Christmas time. I think last year on Christmas Eve, we were over at some family's house, and it was on the TV. But everyone's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
But so I haven't actually sat down and watched this movie in a long time, and it is good. I mean, it just grips you the whole way through. It's a great action movie.
Absolutely. Great Christmas movie, too.
Yeah.
They say Merry Christmas in this movie, I think, more than they did in Home Alone.
Yep.
It's definitely that's a thing. It's a Christmas movie for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then you think you get is it Dean Martin at the end? That's the Christmas song is playing over the credits, and yeah.
Absolutely. I wonder if it was supposed to come out at Christmas time or... I'm sure they released it at the time they wanted to release it. Yeah, that is. I gotta say, though, whoever built the building, I don't want to go in one of their buildings. Every one of the windows, somebody can get thrown out of that easily.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going in that building.
Have you heard, there was this is off topic, but I think it was in Ontario or something. There was this building that was very tall, and of course the glass was built to withstand a lot of damage or whatever. And there was a guy that worked in this building that would always give the interns a tour of the building, and he would do a little party trick, and he was talking about how strong the glass was, and every tour he would full speed run towards this one particular window and run into it, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, and he's like, yeah, the glass is really strong. Well, over time it loosened that up, and one time he did it and he fell out to his death. It finally popped. If the glass didn't break, it popped the window out.
Because it's just held on by a sealant, an adhesive. That's
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess you tempt fate enough times.
I know.
Not going to go your way.
Yeah.
Well, other than John emerging at the end looking like a total badass.
Oh yeah.
That's a hero shot.
Oh yeah.
That is a hero shot if I've ever seen one. And that's where I'm going to end it.
Well,
how about you?
I'm going to say we also have another hero in this movie.
Oh, yeah?
Because Carl comes out. He's not dead, even though John hung him.
Right.
And he's
How
ready.
Did he not die?
He's out for blood. I don't know. This guy's tough. You want to talk? That guy's the toughest of all these guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then Reginald VelJohnson. I don't remember what his name is. I'm going to call him Carl. Carl Winslow. He's out
Sergeant
there.
Al.
Yeah, Al. That's it. Opens fire and kills him. After he goes through that whole arc of he's not a beat cop anymore because he shot a kid accidentally, and all that, and he unloads his weapon, and you've got that shot of him you see the gun and it's smoking, and then it pans out, and it's him holding the gun, and he saved the day. So there's another hero. We have two heroes in the movie.
The redemptive arc too.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So that's where I'm going to end it at.
All right. You want to roll us out for the week?
Yeah, I will. I'll roll us out. Lost my train of thought here for a second. What I was going to say,
It's been a long
Merry
year.
Christmas. Yeah, it's been a long year. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. Once again, Merry Christmas. We really appreciate you all spending the time with us. Next week will be Christmas Eve and
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. Yes, I'm sorry. New Year's Eve. Goodness, we're going to have two Christmases in a row. Yeah. New Year's Eve. So in honor of that, I am going to ask you our icebreaker question for next week. What's your favorite movie that you watched in 2024? It doesn't have to be. It can be like anything. Like it could be a movie that just came out in theaters this year. It could be something that you were just, you were laying in bed with your wife and you're scrolling through Netflix. Like, oh, let's watch this. It doesn't have to be a brand new movie, but a movie that you watched fresh for the first time.
That you saw this year.
In 2024. Yeah.
Oh, for the first time.
Okay. Yeah, that you saw for the very first time in 2024. So it could have been, a 40-year-old movie, but this is the first time you watched it. So that is what our question is going to be for next week.
Next week's hold open. All right.
Yeah. Be sure to leave us a comment. Tell us what you're enjoying about the show, and tell us if there's anything that you think we need to change, or I don't know, whatever. Leave us your comments. We appreciate them. We like reading them on the air. I don't have any comments right now, so I would love to have some more that I can read. And with that, we've reached another checkpoint, my friends. Remember, sharing is caring. Like I said, leave us some reviews. They help a whole lot. We would love to see your reviews. We'd love to read them on the air. We would really appreciate it. And until next time, we will see you then on New Year's Eve. Be kind and rewind.
All right, we'll see you all around.
This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production.